Hey, homeschool mom. Are you intimidated by homeschooling through high school or even handling senior year, graduation ceremony, dual enrollment, transcripts, diplomas? Can you even issue one of those? Of course you can. And you have the authority to do so. I have been homeschooling for 14 years and just graduated my oldest of 6, and it was actually a blessing. Definitely exhausting, definitely can be chaotic if you're not a disciplined person, but I'm going to tell you how simplistic it can be and really enjoyable. So I hope that this is a blessing to you and that you will come alongside the journey to learn how you can confidently homeschool through high school and give your children a biblical worldview. Oftentimes we talk about giving our children a strong foundation and starting homeschooling in that way, but what about launching them out and walking aside them in some of the most important years of their lives? It'll bless you and it'll definitely bless them and the kingdom of God. So, the first thing I want to talk about is you got to take care of yourself because the demand on you and your body will, and what I mean by that is like literally your mental health and your emotional. There's so much going on. You see the end happening. And if you're a mom that's very involved and very intentional, and if you've been homeschooling them and you were a stay home mom from the very beginning, it's a very emotional time because you're excited, but then you're also sad because you know that time is coming to the end. It's like seeing the hourglass just sand go right through it, and you know that your time is ticking. And you really have to be able to get enough sleep because teens want to talk sometimes late in the evening. They want to talk about their feelings. They want to talk about their jobs, or they want to talk about school. They want to talk about their friends. They want to talk about the Lord and doctrinal things, which are all great. And it's great that they want to talk to you. But if you've had a very long day and then you also have young ones and you want to get up and get started the next day, and if you're someone like me who suffers from autoimmune disease, it can be really hard to not get the sleep that you need to recover in order to maintain the thrive and the vitality that you really need to get through some of those subjects and even just checking and grading work at that higher level. So we have always homeschooled through a Charlotte Mason base method of homeschooling, and that doesn't stop for us in the high school years, and I can talk more about that in a later video. But even with that, getting outside is very, very important. So getting outside, getting exercise, and getting sleep. I've taken naps like during our quiet time where that's my mental time to just decompress before I start like the latter half of my day. And I have my teens sit and read or journal, and they get that brain break too because they need that white space just as much as we do because they have so much going on. Oftentimes, the high school years or those teenage years is a lot like the newborn years. If you realize how much physical, mental, and emotional development is happening in your child, and then you add on social media or technology or the pressures of what everyone thinks that they should be doing, it's very easy to look to the left and look to the right, but the Lord wants us to look at the unique path set before us with our particular child in our unique different families. And we need to kind of quiet down the voices. And so that white space, or sometimes just being out in nature, and if you're blessed enough to be at the ocean, even better. So I would say make sure you're at a place where you can really decompress and be prepared for some of the hard conversations that need to happen and that will naturally happen. And if you foster a healthy relationship with the Lord and family devotions and open communication, these teen years will be you will start to reap everything that you sowed in the foundation years of when they were younger. And it is one of the main reasons why you should continue to homeschool through high school. And the next mindset shift that needs to be made there is that you're in it for the long haul. You get to the end of the island and you burn the ships, and trusting in the Lord and His word and the promises that He's never going to leave you, He's never going to forsake you. And I guarantee you, there is no curriculum, no subject, no obstacle that He will not provide for. Like if He's called you, He will equip you to do it. And even if you're on a budget, the Lord will provide. He is amazing. And I've got stories after stories to tell you of his great faithfulness. The Lord is faithful, and he wants you to homeschool your kids because he wants you to train them to have a heart after him. And in these high school years, that's when you really start seeing their worldview form and their opinions form. And for you to be there guiding them and filtering what comes in and out and seeing how they, filter certain things in your own home. Like oftentimes I will have my kids watch and know because we teach them doctrine and we have family devotions and we go to a Bible believing church. We do teach them different doctrines within the church, but then we also let them listen to false teachers, and we kind of have them figure out what is wrong that they said that is false and contrary to scripture. And that is higher thinking, very critical thinking, and it just gives you a chance to see how much they will stand. It's like we also do like apologetic drills so that they can give a reason for the defense for the hope that's in them. And that carries on. And to see the fruit of that and to see your kid forming their own statement of faith, there is no greater joy than to see your kids walking in the truth. And so you have to be committed. You have to be committed to walk through this time with your kids and know that we have so many tools today that really we have to shut down the voices, because there's always somebody begging for your money, for your time, your energy, and you kind of have to learn how to streamline it and prioritize, which comes to my second point is that third, I guess, you would really need to focus on having a plan and setting boundaries. And I would say this is the most critical. Like if you set that stage when they were younger, this is gonna be much easier for you. But homeschooling your children is a full-time job. And if that means you have to do less volunteering at church, or you can't work outside the home, whatever it may be, you need to know that if you take on your children's education, that is a full-time demanding job, especially if you have multiple kids of multiple ages, because unlike a public or private institution, you're more emotionally and personally involved, and your time and energy on, for in my case, 6 different grade levels. So your time and energy and efforts are limited, and you have to have boundaries, healthy boundaries of your family time and protecting those school hours, and having a plan in place so that you know your non-negotiables and your time frames of non-negotiables. Because when your kid is a teenager, and if they want, and it works with you and your family's priorities, to have a part-time job, whether it's babysitting or working at Chick-fil-A, they need to know that school comes first. That's their primary job. You also your neighbor next door might need to know that your child is not always available to babysit their kid or walk their pet. You also need to know that they can't just neglect school so that they can go out and do some type of social event. Whatever it is, that prioritizing their time to actually faithfully get school done is a major factor, and you having the boundaries to do that. Sometimes you also are going to need the support of your spouse to say, hey, I need to plan. I need to have this conversation with our teens. I need to talk to you, make sure we're all on the same page of what's expected, and then hold that ground and be consistent as much as possible, because their time management and them realizing how they can't just be complete entrepreneurs with their time and going here and going there, and how to prioritize certain tasks is a lifelong skill that they will need, and it will be harder for them if they don't. In fact, most homeschoolers don't struggle to get into college. They don't struggle with test scores. They struggle with time management, and not necessarily in a bad way, but it's more how to prioritize everything all at once. And so the sooner you can start doing that in the high school years and giving them choice, and dealing with the consequences or the blessings that come with that choice, the easier things will be. But you also have to take care of just the boundaries and protecting that time, because there's so many opportunities, and you can get wrapped up in co-op this and this event here, and you have to make sure that you don't just party and then try to cram everything together in senior year. The next thing I would say, you have to be the guidance counselor now to your child, and you need to sit down with them and talk about their passions, their interests, maybe even do some personality tests to see if they work better in a team versus, working independently, what might be on those tests about what kind of careers may best suit them based on their personalities are all very, very helpful. And they just need to know how to use their skills and how to still be a blessing in the workforce, even if it's not like their dream job or their dream trade. But there are steps where they can provide for themselves and provide, particularly if they're male, for their families in the future, what electives would best be suited for them. So, like if they want to be in the medical field, Master Books has a great pre-med high school course that is almost college level. And a lot of physicians that we know and a lot of other testimonies on the Moms of Master Books app have used that course, and they're blown away by it. So I would say that's another great way, by having that guidance counselor mindset and hearing your child out and maybe giving them some ideas and praying together through their skill sets and their gifting. You can kind of walk through a line of that. And that also leads me to career field trips that you can do one-on-one with a group of friends, or I did it for our homeschool support group with over 300 families. I was the high school career field trip coordinator, and every month I had planned for about 10 months a field trip in a different field that required college, some no college, and we went from the North Carolina Supreme Court to the hospital to and HVAC and welding to the fire department, police department, and these community people were and companies were more than happy to have us come in, and some of them even fed us lunch, and they talked about life skills and all types of, like, the importance of just eye contact and what it took to get into that particular field with or without a degree. And you just call the people up, the company up, and they'll point you to the right people to set that up, and they're more than happy to help you get that ball rolling so that you can set that up and give your kid a better idea of what they want to do and what they may or may not be interested in. Thankfully for us, I had quite a few students in our group get jobs immediately or before graduating high school, or in apprenticeships because of those field trips. And it's very helpful to have those. So to recap, make sure that you get enough sleep and have some type of respite, because as a homeschool mom, there will be so much more demands on you and you need that mental break. And make sure that you get outside and get a walk or have some type of physical activity to help you breathe in new ideas and just to have a brain break. And have boundaries and be committed to your boundaries, be committed to your plan, execute your plan, and have boundaries for yourself and your relationship. This time in the high school years is very, very relational, and it can be very much a blessing because you're working so much together. As your child's guidance counselor, you're literally guiding them into a career path and to seeing the end. And know that this time is hard and emotionally exhausting because you see that time capsule. And so just get enough sleep, get outside, be committed to the journey, stay committed to your boundaries and your plan, and interview your kids, talk with them, come alongside of them, encourage them, and let them know that with God, all things are possible, and manage their time well, and you will be off to a good start. So those are just some basic mindset shifts that can be very helpful for you to get in the groove of what you're taking on when you're choosing to homeschool through high school. And I hope that they've been helpful and encouraging. And just know that you can do this, and there's more videos coming to help you. And just know that God is faithful and He's going to see you through, and you will reap the benefits of all the sweet labors that you laid with good habits at the beginning. So stay encouraged and enjoy the ride. Enjoy this time. It's a blessing.